Hey guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Yamazaki and this is my medical library. Today we're going to discuss the thoracic cage, especially the bony structure. So, to have a quick overview, let's see what our bony structure is made up of. So, in the midline, we have a sternum. Here, this number one is our sternum. We have 12 pairs of ribs, 12 ribs on each side, which, the ribs number 1 to 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 are our true ribs. They attach to the sternum by their own costal cartilage. And the numbers 7, 8, 9, and 10 are our false ribs. They attach to the sternum with or better to say through the costal margin, and the ribs number 11 and number 12. These two ribs are floating ribs. They do not attach to the sternum. And 12 thoracic vertebrae on the posterior end. So these were our bones. We have two openings for our thoracic cage. One connects the thoracic cage to the neck and called superior aperture. Superior aperture made up of the T1 vertebra, the body of the T1 vertebra, medial border of the ribs, the first ribs on each side, and the superior border of the sternum, or better to say the superior border of the manubrium. The inferior aperture is another opening, attaches the thoracic cage to the abdominal cavity. It consists the T12 vertebra, the body of the T12 vertebra, or even the intervertebral disc between the T12 and L1. There is an inferior border of rib number 12. Some parts, better to say, the anterior end of the inferior border of rib number 11 and number 10, and the costal margin. Then it is encloses on the anterior surface with the xiphoid process of the sternum. So, yep, this is it. Let's take a closer look to each part. First, we'll start with the sternum. As you see, a sternum is a dagger-shaped bone. They call it dagger-shaped bone. It's really like, just a knife. Anyway, our dagger-shaped bone can be divided into three parts: the manubrium, the shaft, and the xiphoid process. Here for the manubrium, this little guy, it really looks like a SpongeBob SquarePants. The superior surface has a notch called jugular or even sternal notch. Some call it jugular, some call it sternal. It's okay. Anyway, along with that, on each side we have a facet for sternoclavicular joint, which we will discuss on later videos for upper limbs. On the lateral borders, we have an attachment site for first ribs costal cartilage, which is not a facet, it is an attachment. What is the difference between an attachment and a facet? An attachment is for those kind of joints which are not synovial. Facets are for synovial joints. So this attachment site here for the first costal cartilage the joint between the first costal cartilage and the manubrium is called fibrous joint. Fibrous joint, which is actually a second type of cartilaginous joints. On the inferior part of the lateral borders, we have demifacet for second rib, which actually make a total facet with the same structure on the body for the second rib, as you see. For the second rib's costal cartilage, and as you see, it's a facet. The CC is the abbreviation of costal cartilage. I made it myself. So let's go to see what's going on the shaft. We'll discuss about these green lines later. The shaft, as you see, is a little bit wider, maybe a little bit longer among these parts. On the lateral borders, we have total facets for ribs 3rd to 6. But some may say there's a demifacet for the 7th rib, costal cartilage, on the inferior end of the lateral border. Some may say that it is a total facet, and we have no demifacet on the xiphoid process. The Gray's Anatomy for Students claims that there is a demifacet, one on the body, one on the xiphoidous process, but the ESNEL's clinical anatomy by RAIN for students, by region maybe you call it, I don't know the pronunciation very well, they may claim that there's no demifacet on the xiphoid process. Anyway, yeah, that's it. But alongside the facets, we have transverse. Why didn't I write this? Ridges. If I spell it right, I'm not really sure. So anyway, they are elevations due to the fusion on the embryological processes. We will maybe discuss this on the embryology videos. So anyway, let's go to the xiphoid process. Xiphoid process is really unique part of the body. There are a lot of variety of shapes for this process. Actually, some may say, I saw a xiphoid process like this. Some may say, yeah, I saw another one like this. And some may say there was a hole in it. Yep, this is the xiphoid process. Why it has happened is because, the late ossification, maybe I'll write it right there. But anyway, I write it again. Late ossification and the chondral structure. In adulthood. So, anyway, let's talk about those. Yeah, actually, I write it. Xiphoid process ossifies in adulthood. So let's talk about these green lines. As you see, we have two green lines here, one between the manubrium and the shaft, and one between the xiphoid and the body, the shaft. So the green lines shows the symphysis joint. Here I wrote it. What is symphysis joint? The symphysis joint is actually a joint between some parts of the bones which do not actually move. Yeah. and there is a cartilaginous structure between them. It's not uh, bony structure. It's a cartilaginous structure. It's a chondral tissue, and so they call it the symphysis joint, maybe fibrous tissue. Anyway, we do not discuss that here. We will discuss it on the, uh, you know, the histological videos, histologies videos, not histological. Anyway, so yep, the one between the manubrium and the body called manubriosternal, and the one between the xiphoid process and the shaft called the xiphoesternal. Actually, these joints attaches the three parts of the sternum together throughout the life. Behind the sternum, we have the heart. We have maybe the precardium, better to say, not the heart itself. There is a space between the heart and the, sternum. It's called the anterior mediastinum. Anyway, uh, there is a long life red bone marrow in the sternum, which is really great for biopsy. And for surgical issues, if you need to access the heart, you may need to, cut it through like this, for example, by those uh, frightening machines. Anyway, let's get to the ribs. As you see, we have 12 pairs of ribs. We categorize them as true, false, and those floating ribs. But a better categorization for anatomical reviews are typical and atypical. Typical ribs are those who have, the unique structure. Sorry, not the unique structure. The common structure among ribs, and those atypicals here have unique structure, unique differences. I'm not really good at English, so yeah, please do not judge my spellings. Unique differences. I really know this is not right. Anyway, but I do not know how to spell it correctly. So yeah, unique differences among ribs. So yep. The atypicals has still the typical structure, but they have a little differences there that makes them unique. Anyway, a typical rib looks like this from uh, the coronal page. I don't know the coronal cut, but let us say yeah, the coronal cut from anterior view. We see them like this. There is a round, big superior border for each typical rib, as you see here, and there is a sharp, thin inferior border for each rib. The gap between them makes a depression. It looks like a depression. There is not really depression there. Do not make something like this in your, uh, in your, for example, reviews. Uh, it looks like a depression there. It's called costal groove, which is in the medial surface, which is on the medial surface. And why is it really important? Is that because our neurovascular structures, our intercostal neurovascular structures, are actually deepened there. They are safe and they are really organized there. So yeah, and that's why it's important, the costal groove. Anyway, we have another part which is the lateral surface that mostly the intercostal muscles will attach to. Anyway, let's go to take a closer look. We can divide a rib into three parts. One is a posterior end, and another one is an anterior end. The posterior end will attach to the vertebra. Some may attach to the body, some may attach to the transverse process. I'm sorry, not some of the posterior ends, but some parts of the posterior end would attach to the body, some parts would attach to the transverse process. So, posterior end can be divided into three parts: head, neck, and tubercle. Here we have the head, here, just like right there. There are two articular facets here. One is superior, two, an anterior one. The superior one is smaller than the inferior one because, there is some issues on the vertebra. We'll discuss it later. So anyway, between them there is a crest. Some ligament would attach to this crest called actually intra-articular ligament between the crest and the intervertebral discs. So there is a narrower part, the bone gets narrowed here called neck a little bit. After that, we have a bony elevation, rough and bony elevation here called tubercle. As you see, the tubercle has two parts. A greater articular part, which attaches to the transverse process articular facet. The AF is the abbreviation of the articular facet here. And the other non-articular part will attach to the ligament, some ligaments called costo-transverse ligaments. So we will discuss it later. So anyway, as you see here, after the posterior end, we have the body. Close to the body, we have the angle. You may say that, first let's get a definition. What is angle? For those who do not know, the angle is where the rib turns from posterolaterally directed into anteromedially direction. Like this. Yeah. Actually, when we have this shift, we call this part an angle. So you may say that the angle should be here, something like this, but it is not. Let's take a look to a rib just laterally. So you see, here it is. See, this is the angle. We have the angle right here. We're looking at them. Actually, we are not looking at them laterally. We are looking superiorly because they are atypical ribs. I will discuss later why. But yeah, this is the angle. The angle is close to the tubercle and is on the body. Maybe this is the angle, better to say. But yeah, we can claim that here is our angle. Anyway, so yeah, that's about the body. Not really important thing. The only thing important that we have another shift in the body, which our posterior end is inferiorly directed. You see, posterior end is inferiorly directed, but our anterior end is superiorly directed. This is about direction. Another thing about the body is that the body is, going like this to this. We have another shift here. What should I say about this? How can I show this to you? Right here, I can't. But on the first picture, as you see, the first rib, for example, each rib, they look like each other. There's no difference. And the first rib starts from an upper part, an upper, for example, level, ends in a lower level. Now there's an angle here. something between 45. Why I wrote it in Arabic? No. Anyway, somewhere between the 45 and the 19, for example. Yep. Forget that Arabic numbers. I have some Arabic students anyway. So they're rich. Do not judge me. Anyway, I need money. So where were we? So yeah, the typical ribs are rib number 3 to number 10. Oh, I forgot the anterior end to talk about it. The anterior end actually just we call it costal cartilage. The anterior end may attach to the sternum and may not, but they all have the costal cartilage, even the ribs number 11 and number 12. Yeah, they do not attach to the sternum, but they still have the costal cartilage. I will show it to you on the next page. And why is it, and what is their function for the ribs, the last two ribs? Yeah, we'll discuss it in the abdominal cavity anyway. So, the joint between the costal cartilage and the rib is a costochondral joint, which is not really going to be synovial or anything. They do not have even a type. Anyway, maybe it is a second cartilaginous, for example. So, yep. Uh, there might be some other joints here. Well, I will discuss this on the joints parts. So, for atypical ribs, there are 4 atypical ribs. Some may say there is 3. Some may not include the rib number 2. Some may include. The rib number 2 looks like something between the rib number 1 and a typical rib. For example, rib number 3. It is something in the middle. Some may claim that is atypical. Some may claim that is typical. Not really important. Anyway, for rib number 1, the structure of the rib totally differs. As you see, instead of superior border and inferior border, we have superior surface and inferior surface. Actually, it is flattened uh, in the lateral-medial direction, as you see. It is like turning a page, for example, 19 degree. So we have a lateral border and medial border instead of lateral surface and medial surfaces. Anyway, yeah, that's the structure as you see. As you see here, we have a superior view, not lateral view. So for rib number 1, there are some special structures we have due to attachment to the neck. The medial border is a part of the superior aperture anyway. As you see, this is the head, this is the neck, and some may say that this is a tubercle, but this is not the tubercle. This is the elevation due to a muscular attachment. This brother here is the tubercle. So, as you can see here, there are 2 grooves. You see, this is one groove, this is another groove. If you have an atlas, if you have the Gray's Anatomy for students, you can see it better because of there's no circles here. Yeah, these circles may distract you from the what it really looks like. So, anyway, where were we? Yeah, there are 2 grooves. A greater groove on the anterior called subclavian vein, a groove for subclavian vein, and the posterior one, which is smaller, called a groove for subclavian artery. So between them, there is a tubercle called the scalene tubercle, which, the anterior scalene muscles would attach to scalene tubercle. And this is the rib number 2. It really looks like this guy. Yep. As you see, there are some roughenings here. Some will be discussed later, but these roughenings, this one, and really this one, maybe even this one, yeah, they are about, the we have these for, first even 6, first 7, first 8. Ribs they called, for anterior serratus roughenings. Yep. Another atypical ribs are rib number 11 and rib number 12. As you see, this is rib number 12. The rib number 11 just looks like this. They have no angle, no angle we have here. They do not have any tubercle, though. So anything important else? Not really that much. No, I don't think so. So yeah, on the head they do not have a crest either. So no crest. Some may claim that the rib number 10 and 9, those do not have crests either. So anyway, that's it. That's a no. Sorry, that's a no crest either. That's not eye roll for them. Yeah, and that's an either. My handwriting and my English is awful, so yeah, believe me, I'm so sorry about that. I'm a Japanese ethnicity. I know many languages: Arabic, English, Japanese. Yep. Anyway, have a nice day. It's enough for today. We'll discuss vertebra and the joints and ligaments later videos. Have a nice day.